Hello, hello, hello. I'm back. Dorothy Guy. Hi, how you doing? Hope you're doing all right, Red Pill community and all. I'm hoping to get a lot of women viewers because this is some good information, especially if you're in a relationship, looking to get in a relationship, the mother of a son, an aunt of a son, of a nephew. This is great. I've written a book, Manhood Interrupted, an answer for the red pill man, that will be available April 2022, that looks at manhood as it developed and changed and was interrupted. Manhood has been interrupted by various things that happened as our nation grew, America. And that's what I'm doing this for people that's in other countries. I know that you've had inflection points where things had to change that wasn't just pinpoint. So the beginning of this book is on a whole totality, and then it becomes very specific to America. I wrote this book because I heard red pill men and the red pill community saying that they wanted to understand women. They were frustrated and confused by them. And another thing that they had a problem with, and I'm sure I'm not even saying we are confusing. We are frustrating. So I don't even take that away. And that women created a lot of laws and policies and made this chaotic world we have. And then they don't allow men to complain about it. I don't know how much about that I agree with, but I think we all pitched in to get us to where we are now. And then the other thing is that men's rights are being abused in the court system. The woman is always awarded children. She gets half of stuff. And so they have a good many complaints about that. So I was like, what can I address? And it was like, when I can't even talk to a woman, everything I go to her, talk to her, everything's fine. Then she just changed and dumped me, or I don't have what she wants. So the red pill community, you can see a good bit of the conversation is on dating, that they're very frustrated and even getting traumatized from being rejected so much. Who wouldn't get traumatized? Being rejected all the time by so many women. But I'm telling you, there's nothing new under the sun. This has always happened in the course of relationships, and it's going to continue to be that way. And we're just in a really severe pattern now with social media, and I'm going to go over that one day and have my complete thoughts on social media. But so much access to so many men and so many women, it's just made us very insensitive and considerate, fickle, think we're more than what we are, and trying to reach for more than what we should have. We all entitled, thinking we should have the best, the best, the best all the time. We become consumer, just wanting more and more and more, buy more and more and more. And so we become consumer of people. In relationship, we go through them like potato chips. So that's just the way it is. But now I'm on the chapter, which is, let's see what chapter this is, for Caveman. The Caveman. I did the origins of man. And now we're on the Caveman, which is actually chapter 4 of my book. Chapter 4 of my book, The Caveman. And about 2.5 million years ago, men lived in caves. They were simple hunters, and they lived in huts or teepees, and they were hunters and gatherers. They used basic stone and bone tools and crude stone axes. They didn't have a lot. You could see people throwing a rock or a stick to hit a rabbit or animal. I am so impressed when I see that on like Bear Grylls or Naked and Afraid or any of those survivor shows, when they can throw a stick at an animal and kill it for food. Hey, that is impressive, okay? From 10,000 years ago BC to 8,000 years ago BC, there used to be small stone tools. Now they're polished. You see they're evolving to now polished stone, sometimes crafted with points and attached to antlers, bones, or wood to serve as a spear or arrow. So they are growing and moving up and getting better tools to make their life easier as they hunt. And they live kind of nomadically then. They went from just being stationary in pretty much as we know in a cave area. Then they were able to move and go because they had better tools for protection, so they could follow game a little bit. So they became a little more nomadic and went where rivers were or streams or a body of water. And because now they're at water, the body of water, now they can start planting things and growing things. So agriculture became a part of the life of the early caveman, as we said, called them in that time period. And so when agriculture was introduced, that was leading to a permanent settlement. It's like, hey, we got meat, we got vegetables, we can grow grains. This is a pretty good setup. The animals come to the water also to drink and everything. So it was a good environment. So now it decided to do permanent villages and settlements. You always have where a group of people stay here, and then people said there's more out there that I can see and be, and they branch off. So you got the people still probably in the cave. That life was good. The older people, that's what they knew. They don't branch out and do new things so much. And then you have those that moved and started setting up agriculture and settlements and villages. By 8,000 to 3,000 BC, the hunting and gatherer kind of was being left now as the main source of food to agriculture and food production. They started having domesticated animals, polished axes, plowing and tilling the land, farming, home construction like art, pottery, sewing, and weaving. So you can see things don't stay the same. There are advances in tools, in housing, in where you live that makes life easier and simpler. So the definition of who and how you have to be and show up changes as advancements changes. And I'm going to tell you about that. Ready? In caveman days, they lived in communal caves, right? There was no husband and wives designated. And it wasn't a partner bond yet, right? The person that was skilled and able, and you found that out by trial and error, went out for the hunt to get meat. It could have took 4 days, 6 days, and because it was a communal place, I don't know what the number could be. I don't know how many it could be, but it probably was more than 4 because they had to be in a group to survive. The dangers of predators. A lone person was more apt to be stalked and be prey for, back then, saber-toothed tigers. I don't know what they had back then, jumping on their bones and eating them up. But as a group, they could ward off. So the large number of people was good for protection of the communal group. And so the men would go out and hunt, and they were not hunting just for a rabbit. I always saying out hunting for a rabbit because I just say that. But they were hunting large game, enough of meat to feed all those people. And so, of course, the hunters became able to track animals, sit and wait to kill them, stalk them, be more precise in which tool to use, or whether to climb a tree and wait up in a tree and jump out, or once you see it, you run and do. So the more they did their hunting and using of their body, the better the muscles and use and dexterity they had. And they say, we couldn't even, our bodies now could not even do what their bodies did. Their bodies was a weapon. But not every man had the same skills or physical makeup and strength and endurance or courage to hunt big game. So they didn't go on the hunt. So those with the skills, those that could strategize, change, develop, use the tools and skills and hunt and stalk, kind of became the alpha male. You would be cheering when he kept coming back in with game, and they'd sit around and talk, and they would tell about how he did it and how wonderful it was, and you should have seen it, and you should have been there, and he gets all the congratulations and everything. So in that cave place, there wasn't designated sexual partners. And that's not to say that they were just constantly having orgies and sleeping around and things like that. Back then, when they was trying to survive, gather water, gather wood, they was really busy individuals just to have only sex on their mind. But it was not uncommon for this man to choose this woman to have sex with, then he would choose that woman to have sex with, and it was nothing thought of it. It was just nothing thought of because there was no husband and wives. There was no pair bondings at that time. And people may say, well, why didn't women go on hunts? It's because they the weaker sex. Well, truly, women were the one that produced life. How could a pregnant woman go on a hunt for 4 days out there doing that? She wasn't pregnant. I'm sure she could. But because women were the ones who got pregnant, and once there was babies, they breastfed them and fed them, she couldn't leave that child. It would die. So everybody, even the men, everyone cared for the welfare and the well-being of the children. And the children wasn't like, this child belongs to this couple. It was the children belonged to the communal group. The child was part of the group. The child was everyone's responsibility. When they said take a village, this was actually the village. It was not, this is me and James' baby, and it looks better than your and James' baby. It was none of that. All the women cared for the children. All the men cared for the children. All the men cared for the women cared for all the men. People had sex with whoever they wanted to have sex with. No big deal. We all shared. We all tried to make it and survive. The one thing I thought funny when I was going to do this video, because we seeing, like we say, the alpha male was the one who brought home the big kills. The bigger the kill, the bigger the applause. And he was looked up to by the men and pretty much desired. Who wouldn't want to be with him? To sex as congratulations, sex for whatever. Oh, he wants me, that's great. Whatever the reason, he pretty much had his pick of whoever he wanted to sleep with. But it wasn't really the big deal, though. Like I said, because they weren't pair bonded anyway, so he could sleep with whoever, but he could have had a tendency to like one certain, the most beautiful, the most nice looking woman, and it probably was an honor that he wanted to have sex with her. So now we see there's probably a beta male who didn't have skills in hunting and providing, and then when had courage. And I was wondering, well, do he get to eat? He don't hunt nothing. He's not bearing children or anything. And then I was thinking, you know, since the hunting process was such a big deal, it probably was a bonding experience for the men to prepare the meal more so. But we think, oh, the man hunts, he come home and give it to her, and she does it. But it may have been such an honor and a bonding thing to talk and discuss as they prepared the meat and the meal and everything like that. Maybe that was a part that the beta male played. I mean, nobody says, what did he do? Everybody's like, he's a waste of time and space. But he was part of the group. He was going to get his share of food, whether he did anything or not. And I'm just throwing that in there. Maybe that was what he did, instead of everyone thinking it was just the women. Because believe it or not, top chefs are men. And women say it's very hard to break in to that grouping and be respected as a chef, because it's a male-dominated field. You know, so you never know. So that's what we had. And then we come to the part where I had to think, there was no monogamy, there was no pair bonding. When did monogamy come in? When did the caveman decide, I want one woman to myself to be together forever and no one else? They left a pretty good deal there, being able to be sexually free, all the children taken care of, no matter how many, they were going to be looked after and their well-being. And it's like, hey, I don't like this stuff. I'm getting ready to go and just have just one woman over here to myself. So when I looked up, when did monogamy start? Nobody knows how it started. There's no agreement on how monogamy started. But there is a thought that monogamy started because of the beta male. Okay. At first, it was based completely on skill. The alpha male had the skill to do the kill. The beta male did not, and he was left back there with the women while the men were on a hunt. So the alpha male, and it was more It was alpha male and probably 6, 7, you don't know how many else that was on the hunt. And they came in and got choices of women too. And the beta male, like, hey, what do I have to offer? Okay, I'll use it. What did he bring to the table? So what happened was they think that the beta male started while those males were going to be nice and complimentary to women, to bring them a little flour every once in a while, to whittle them a little spoon or something. And these little gestures was nice, being paid attention to make me feel special. He said nice things, because when we think of cavemen, we think of them grunting, grabbing a woman, doing doggy style for 2 minutes, right? So with the beta, just like, I take time to caress your long hair, I rub your hand. Oh, that's too heavy for you, let me help you carry it. And so they started getting in that way. And the woman like, well, I like the strength of the hunter. He's good at what he does, and I like that. But I also like that fella over there. He's really kind, and he helps me carry the water sometimes, and he pays me attention when I'm tired, and he says nice things. He jokes and makes me laugh. So now there's becoming I choose, and I choose. And then as the tools became more effective, like we said, spears and arrows, and then now it's agriculture. I can become a vegetarian, or I can have all these vegetables and grain and bread and domesticated animals, and now I can get the rabbit. I don't have to have the big game. I can get you, and now you can become mine, and I can give you what you want. Come with me. And now it's not just dependent on the alpha males for survival. All the males can kind of help you survive. It's not high standards of skills anymore required. All the males now are able, by the advancement of tools and the change from hunter to gatherer to agriculture and food production, advancement changes the definition of manhood. Went from provider, protector, and procreator in this sense, just open, free, willy-nilly, to now man has changed to all men can become provider, protector, and procreator. And then they said the beta man started saying, come, we'll go do this and stuff. And she was happy to. It was no longer, I must depend on those 4 up there to make sure we all survive. They're able together now, too. So that's how they said monogamy came about. Monogamy came about. And wild hunt. I have never, because of man's nature and looking at nature with the animals and everything and how they work and how they are encoded, not to have one mate for life, and the difficulty, absolute physical difficulty it is for men to stay faithful in one relationship. I don't believe monogamy is a forced state of being. In the Old Testament, one of the oldest writings that we have and look to in the Christian religion, the Bible, there were men with multiple wives, and it was a good thing. And then it said, if he has a lot of kids, it's a blessing to have a lot of children. Children were important for the family name, for the family lineage to remain, and to help do labor and chores. And so the large family almost became a communal group again, without, without sex and childbearing and all that. They married, and the boys married and incorporated their wives in, and the family grew bigger. And then the wives left and went to that family, and that family pocket became bigger. And you see a rites of passage and all of that, from childhood to manhood and everything like that. And the same thing for the woman, leaving her home, going over to be with the family and into womanhood. So I'm really, I struggle with monogamy. I think it is an unnatural state. It's set up, be fruitful and multiply, but being in poly relationships cause problem if you can't work it out in a communal sense. I say also because women have a set amount of eggs they're born with, and a certain amount that are mature, that are released and are good for being fertile, where a man makes millions of sperm a day. Unbelievable. So his trajectory to impregnate is very widened and extended into, oh my God, old and creepy. He probably could still impregnate someone. So I don't know why the institution of monogamy happened. It's very hard and difficult. And I said man, but hey, maybe difficult for a lot of women, but somehow someone insisted that we get one person and stay with that one person forever, and that person and nobody else, dadgummit. And that's what you better do. All right, so what do they say in the Bible? They use the Bible, like I said. 1 Timothy 3, chapter 3, verse 2. A bishop must be blameless, the husband of one wife, vigilant, sober, of good behavior, given to hospitality, and apt to teach. 1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 12. A deacon must be the husband of but one wife and must manage his children and his household well. Now, this is the instruction that's given to, what did it say? A bishop. And then it said a deacon. Singled out, bishop, deacon. It didn't say every man. I don't know where people got the teaching from. That's the scripture that says you're supposed to have one wife. No, it said the bishop of a church and deacon of a church. That's what qualified him to be an overseer, to govern the congregation, to have authority and be responsible to oversee that group, estate, or situation. Deacon and bishop, not layman, not even man that isn't a Christian. People impose Christian and Christianity on non-Christian. The Bible is for Christians to follow. You signed up for it. Do it. It's for you. It's not for you to impose on non-Christian. You introduce them to it, invite them to it. They decide to accept Christianity, then they follow the Bible. But you don't get to beat anybody with any Bible and enforce Christianity on anyone else. Jesus didn't do that. He said, come. Come. He didn't say, dadgummit, you better do this stuff, everybody. He said, come. All right? And we're supposed to be light, and people will want what we have and be drawn to our religion. I'm a Christian. Okay. So that was for a deacon and a bishop to be able to be in a position in the church of authority and responsibility. He had to be one wife, because he probably can't manage 4 and 5 and 6, right? But he must manage his children, bishop, and his household well, and be a vigilant, sober, of good behavior, given to hospitality, and apt to teach. And I don't know who's following that, so I don't know how the one wife thing came. I can't find it in the Bible. The Old Testament, there was multiple wives, and I don't think in the New Testament nobody even cared. So not quite sure if they had multiple wives then. Okay. I am at the end of the Caveman. Yes, that was the first. And guess what? Technology advanced the caveman out of the cave and into being civilized, and into being the head of a household, now being a couple bond, now being head leader, provider, protector, and procreator in a different sense. Nobody took anything from him. Nobody made bad rules that made that different. I'm sure it was hard to change for some. Doing new things is always different. Old people are always like, can't give it to new folks, So everything any kind of change brings a little unsettling, unbalance and stuff, but it's up to people to be able to manage. The caveman had to manage. What do you think the alpha male thought when the beta male was getting women now? I guess he flipped out. I bet he talked about them women. Look at them going with that man who he can't even climb a tree. He couldn't kill a saber-toothed tiger if he tried. I bet they dogged those women out. What they want him for? Look at him. He ain't nothing, but they always go for the low stuff. So, there's nothing new under the sun. I keep telling you. All right. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. The next man I'm going to cover is the Genesis man. The Genesis man. Okay. A lot of people use the Bible to head a household, man in charge, a whole bunch of stuff. So we're going to look at the Genesis man, who was instructed how to live and to carry himself as a man, okay? So thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget you can find me at dorothyguyton.blogspot.com. You can find me on Twitter on In Defense of Women, the letter N, DEFENSE of Women, and on my Facebook page, Dorothy Guyton Author. Tell your friends, please share. If you find anything interesting, I really would like a female audience on this. I'm telling you, this will really give you some insight also in the process of dating and maybe being to articulate what is needed now for you. And even as a man needs to go through the rites of passage, maybe so women need to go through a rite of passage to womanhood. We really have to get ourselves healthy in this chaotic time instead of just standing and talking about it and pointing. See. We don't need to do it. We need to start gathering ourselves, getting purposeful for our survival, for our growth, for our move. When this time leaves, it's not going to be chaotic. What's up is down, what's down is up. Everything comes and goes. Will you be prepared for it? So this is a time of great preparation. So thank you so much. As always, stay healthy, stay happy. God loves you, and so do I.